Yeah.
I know, that kid's putting a virtual cake in a virtual oven in Minecraft. We over here, we're going to make a real cake. We got, this is my wife's Nana's honey cake recipe right here. You can see the whole recipe. This just been passed down through the generations in her family. This is Nana's famous honey cake, and she's going to make that today, and I'm just going to stand back and watch her do the magic and film it.
Yes, Annual, you don't get the show every time.
Look at this beautiful challah breakfast with eggs. I made that challah, to make a video about a round challah. Now we're eating it already because it's so good. I'm going to have to make another fresh one for Rosh HaShanah. Yum, yum.
What do you want to say to the camera, Schmitty? You like Daddy's challah?
Mm-hmm. We're going to be making this honey cake here in this beautiful bundt pan. You see it's got a lot of ridges and textures, stuff tends to stick to it. So I'm going to show you a technique I use that helps the cake release real nice out of any bundt pan with all these shapes and textures. Honey, do you like it when the honey cake sticks to the bundt pan?
No, I don't like it.
Nah, nobody wants that. We want it to come out beautiful, right? So what you're going to do here is take a good generous tablespoon of butter. We're going to put it in a little glass bowl, and we're going to microwave that till it's melted. Okay, now I got the butter melted. I'm going to use a pastry brush. I'm going to mix this up here a little bit. I'm going to use a pastry brush to paint butter on the inside of the bundt pan. It's going to give us a nice layer of butter here. Since it's not too hot in the kitchen, the butter's going to start to solidify just a little bit. So we got this nice even layer of butter on every little piece, every crack and cranny and crevice on this bundt pan, so that Nana's honey cake don't stick to it. So at this point, you want to take the bundt pan and hold it up where you can see the reflection in the light. Make sure all the surfaces is covered with a layer of butter. It's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to take some all-purpose flour here with my hand and just sprinkle little bits of it into this bundt pan. Try to get it on all the surfaces. And then I'm going to bang it around. Bang it with my hand here, so I don't have any big clumps or globs of flour there. And then you just kind of take a look at it, make sure that you got, what you want there in all the crooks and crannies and crevices, that it's buttered and floured real good, and then Nana's honey cake should come out real well. But of course, we're going to see if that really works at the end, ain't we? What's going on back there?
Nothing for you to worry about.
Forget about it, huh? My wife says forget about it. Not for me to worry about here. Okay. Now you can see my wife's getting some ingredients out over here. Tell me about the ingredients, Dolly.
I only use the best. You gotta use local honey. Are my liver spots in there? I told you I didn't want my liver spots in the camera.
There's no liver spots. They don't show up.
Coffee.
You gotta have strong coffee?
You gotta have strong coffee, so I'm using from this morning's brew. And I mean, you can't see through this.
Nah, you don't want any of that weak coffee.
No, this isn't Diner coffee. This is what we call Zeta coffee.
Yeah, that's how Zeta makes it. He taught us the right way to make strong coffee.
Yeah, that's from a Zeta.
What else we got? We got some vanilla, we got strong coffee, cocoa powder. You need a pound of honey, baking powder, baking soda, salt, cinnamon, allspice.
And I'm having you separate out the eggs.
Sugar, veggie oil, and how many eggs I gotta separate?
One thing I'm gonna say here. Sometimes Shmuel likes to skimp on organic. Don't skimp. I got organic sugar. I got a nice flour. I've got nice honey from local. Okay, I don't know about these things, but you got to use nice spices. Don't get any of those junky spices. What you put in, you get out. You put junk in, you get junk out. I'm using some nice organic eggs, local. And I mean, you got to go with the good stuff. Junk in, junk out. Sometimes Shmuel likes to skimp on that.
She says I'm too cheap sometimes, but you know, I think if you look at the other videos I made here, you're going to see a lot of high quality ingredients and a lot of that stuff. So
he's just showing off for the camera. A lot of the time he gives us the crap at home. He's showing off for the camera.
Now we got to separate 3 eggs. My wife asked me to do that, so I'm going to separate 3 eggs.
Yeah.
We want the whites and the yolks, but we want them separated because the whites is going to get whipped up to give the cake some extra leavening. So we get the whites going in one bowl and the yolks going in the other. There's one, and I'll do the rest here. You probably know how to separate eggs. I'm guessing you know how to do that. My wife, she don't like separating the eggs, so I get to help out a little bit in this one. It's a family effort.
I don't want to touch that with my liver spot. It's not supposed to be good.
I don't know what she's talking about sometimes, but I love her.
Oh, the honey cake is a time-honored tradition in my family, and not in Shmuel's, by the way, but you know, now he seems to think it's part of his New Year's. Well, I guess it is, because he married into my family. This is my Nana's honey cake. God knows where the recipe came from. I don't know. Oh, there goes the big man. Anyways, you want to get a pound of honey clean. And so you don't want any of this schmutz on it. So you want to measure out a pound of honey clean.
Right. The batteries is going on the concocting scale here.
Yeah, my batteries are going too, so it's kind of a perfect matchup.
Okay.
All right, so you want to get
a whole pound here.
You get a whole pound in there.
And hopefully we get it measured before the batteries, you know, turn off.
It'll be a Shabbos miracle if we do.
Keep going. No, don't hit that button.
Oh, God.
Don't hit that button. It's already in ounces. That's half a pound right there.
We want 16 ounces.
16 ounces. It's at 12 now. 13. This is very exciting. That's a pound.
Yeah, we hit it.
That's a pound.
And then some, but that's okay.
Yeah, a little extra ounce for the sweet new year.
So we're going to put the honey in a nice big bowl here.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
We're going to get that all out there. I know it's a lot of sticky stuff, but
it's a labor of love.
Yeah, I also want you to notice that Shmuel is not having his fancy drinks in my video. I said, that's enough of that. With you and your fancy drinks in the video. No, Shmuel, you get that guy out of my video or I'm done.
Evan has to make an appearance in every video.
Shonda.
I signed a contract with the distillery.
Shonda. Shonda, it's before noon.
That's right. It's before noon, although it's probably past 5 o'clock in Israel.
I don't use nothing fancy here. You notice I'm putting this all in a bowl. I'm not using my mix master yet. You take the egg yolks and you want... Are my liver spots in there?
No, no liver spots.
And you just want to mix them up a little bit. You don't need to do much. Just kind of get them, you know, kind of so they're not so schmutzy. Alright. Now, you can take the same and just use it, right? You don't need new tools, everything you touch here. It's all about mixing it together. My liver spots in now.
No, no liver spots.
And everyone see that cheap engagement ring you got me? Take a look, people. You see any diamonds or racks on that? I didn't think so. Shmuel says when he gets money from the videos, he's going to buy me a big rack. We'll see about that. Alright, you put a little sugar over there. This is a very sweet recipe. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
It needs to be sweet for the new year.
Yeah. Now, vanilla is something I believe you could just eyeball. You know, and if you add a little extra Nobody's going to be any worse for the wear. This is very expensive stuff, and don't use imitation. Which reminds me, I got to go to Costco and get some more. Alright. Now you add oil. 1/4 cup. Now you could use the same measuring cup for all the liquids here. Doesn't matter. Nothing segregated here. Just like in life. Nothing should be segregated. Not enough love in the world. Don't need to segregate people. Oh, Shmuel, you get a number on this. My liver spots are acting up. Oh, God. Man's got the grip of death with his paws. 1/4 cup here. See, this doesn't even have a 1/4 cup, so...
The bottom line there. The bottom one that ain't labeled. Oh,
God. Now he's going to show me up in his own video series. Are you proud of yourself? I'm going to add a little extra. Never comes out... always comes out a little dry, so now we're adding a little extra. Don't tell my Nana. May she rest in peace.
Oh, may her bless. Her memory is a blessing. May her soul have an aliyah.
Alright, you just want to mix this all gently so that it's all nice and, you know, homogenated. I think that's a word. Homogenated, but I'm not sure. Maybe I made it up.
I think maybe you made it up, but I think we know what you mean.
Okay, so, another thing you want to do, you want to beat these egg whites. And if your husband didn't cheap out on the marriage, and luckily you got a KitchenAid, just throw it in there on the beat setting. Once it's in there, turn it up to high throttle. While that's going, you could add your spices to the wet mixture. I always am very generous with my spices, because you can never have enough flavor. I happen to think cinnamon is very good, so I just use a very generous teaspoon. Don't get the cheap stuff, get the good stuff. 1/2 teaspoon allspice. Again, you don't want to be cheaping out on this. This is going to be your flavor profile, along with the honey. So you could be generous. You get that, Shmuel, you could be generous. Can't hurt.
Don't cheap out on the spices. I think that's the message I'm receiving here.
Or your lady's engagement ring, but never mind. So for this one, you use the big spoon.
Tablespoon, huh?
Yeah, tablespoon. And again, you could be real generous, like I am. Hint, hint. Now, little salt goes a long way here. It says a dash, whatever that means. I'm thinking more like a teaspoon. Alright, then you want 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Don't be afraid to double dip with all this stuff, it's fine. And then you want also baking powder in this recipe. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. This is the one thing I actually measure out pretty carefully. I don't know why, it's just cooking science. Alright.
How did you know them egg whites was done?
I knew the egg whites were done when you lift off the handle and they form peaks.
Nice stiff peaks there.
Stiff peaks.
Okay.
Like my knees. Stiff peaks, if you know what I'm saying. Alright, I've got all the wet ingredients together.
Except for the coffee.
Except for the coffee. So, gonna add the coffee. Again, I'm doing this all by hand. It's a labor of love, as Shmuel likes to say. But anyway, you want to get most of this homogenated before you start adding the flour. Okay, oh, does that smell good? It smells like coffee, it smells like honey, it smells like... To me, this is the Jewish New Year smell. It's a flavor profile I don't see anywhere else at any other time of the year. In other words, I don't take coffee with honey. I don't take coffee with cinnamon. I certainly don't take coffee with allspice. I don't even take my coffee with sugar. So this is, to me, the smell of Rosh HaShanah. Alright then, we're going to take a paddle, and we're gonna take the my liverwort showing.
No, just your elbow.
Okay. Oh God, my elbows are fat right now, so don't feature them. I have my bubby's elbows, I tell you. You just want to let the flour take a little swim, if you know what I mean. You could tell that I'm not very precise with my measurements, but you know what? My recipes always come out great. And
She's an amazing baker.
I really am.
She's an amazing baker.
I have a feel for it.
She's got to feel like nobody else for baking things.
I'm going to go back to my spoon because I don't want things getting all caught up in the whisk wire. You know what I mean? And you're just going to coax it in so that it's all homogenated. Now, it's going to look terrible. I don't know. It usually doesn't look this terrible. I think I did something wrong.
They look pretty good.
It's very lumpy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the whisk on it. I'm going to actually have Shmuel homogenate it for me. He's got the big paws.
You want me to mix it, Dolly?
You can mix it up for me while I finish my coffee over here.
Okay.
It looks good.
Okay. I think we got most of the lumps broken up in there.
Looks good. So now you're going to take your egg whites.
Sorry, I'll get out of your way here.
And you're just going to fold them in.
Fold in the egg whites.
You know, they're fluffy and they're going to add a little puff to it.
Yep. Lots of leavening coming from all different sources here.
So you want to fold it in till it's homogenated, but you don't want to, you know, dampen down the egg whites too much. So don't go too crazy here.
This requires a good touch.
It requires a gentle touch. And you just paddle it in. It's very meditative.
How are you going to know when it's folded enough?
You're going to know when it's homogenated.
But are you still going to see little bits of white, or are they going to be completely mixed in?
All the things of whites, they're not going to be on at all.
So you're just going to be patient and do it gentle.
You got to do it gentle like this. You do not want to do in your mix master.
No, that would be too rough. You got to just fold gently, just like my wife is doing here.
Yeah, you could do figure eights if you want to do something fancy. I don't know. I just get the job done. I don't need any fanfare like my husband over here with all of his recipes. I just behind the scenes, keeping everything clean, keeping the family in clothes, and keeping the heat turned on. God only knew. I should have known by the engagement ring. All right, now the dough can go in the pan, and I'll let Shmuel do that.
Okay. One thing we're going to do here, when it goes in the oven, we're going to keep it on a baking sheet for two reasons. One is that the bundt pan don't always sit level.
Oh, wait a second, Shmuel. I'm going to have a taster. You can make a taster.
Oh, you're going to make a little taster cake. Okay.
Yeah, because this dough is a very generous dough.
Yeah.
When I say generous, I mean...
That's the other reason why we put it on a baking pan, because, you know, when this thing really starts to rise, and some years it's risen up so high that, you know, it starts to overflow a little bit.
Yeah.
So, you know, we don't want that all over the oven there. So we put it on a baking sheet. And my wife's going to use some of that leftover butter to grease up a couple little ramekins, and we're going to put some honey cake in some little ramekins so we get some tasters.
That way you don't have to wait to Erev Rosh HaShanah to see if it tastes okay.
But the cake is better the next day.
The cake is better the next day. There's something about the moistness that gets sealed in, just like you getting sealed in for a good year.
That's right. That's right. So, you know,
you got to wrap it up tight.
These tasters are going to be delicious, but the cake's going to be even better the next day. I even like it when we sometimes put it in the refrigerator.
Yeah, it gets kind of a gooey texture.
And you take it out of the fridge after a day, and it's nice and cold, and it's delicious.
It's good with a cup of coffee, which is ironic because there's so much coffee in it.
All right, how are we doing here, honey?
There's still some more schmutz in there. It could be used.
Yeah,
you don't want to waste.
That's right. We don't like to throw away nothing.
All of the ingredients that traveled so far to get into this bowl, we don't want to waste.
That's right. We should all be grateful that we have this richness, this bounty for the new year, and also that we have, you know, that all these people around the world have worked together to make this beautiful thing that we're now making. we're going to stick it in the oven.
Yeah, we'll see you later when we have a tester.
Now, just to show you how much rise you get out of this this batter for this honey cake, take a look at these ramekins that were, you know, we hardly filled them halfway, maybe even only a third, and you know, one of them is really puffing over. And the cake in the main bundt pan, you can see, is also all the way up to the edges already there. These ramekins ain't quite done yet. No, they're still way too liquidy in the middle, but it's been about 15 minutes. So the little tasters, they probably need at least another 5-10 minutes, and the big cake probably bakes about an hour. Well, here's that beautiful honey cake, Nana's recipe. All out of the oven now for a couple of minutes, cooling down just a minute or two, and then we're gonna flip it out of the pan and see if we did a good enough job greasing it. We also got these beautiful little ramekins with these tasters. They overflowed a little bit, but them bits that run down the side is just delicious and crunchy anyway, so, you know, it's all good. Alright, moment of truth here. I'm going to make sure that it's loosened up on the edges here. Just a little bit. And then we'll see if we can turn this thing out of the pan. Turn this mother out. Here we go. Looks beautiful. Happy Rosh HaShanah, Tovah. Have a good one.